Well, hello everyone. Thank you for joining. I did it a smooth intro. No microphone mess ups.
Yet.
I got all my hosts on.
Yet.
Welcome back, everybody. I missed everybody last week while I was in the great state of Texas, eating Mexican food and lots of carbs for the first time in years. It was fun. But I want to thank Whiskey Banger and the wife, Mrs. Cannoli Satcher. We're doing an amazing job last week on a great show, talking about Tanner choking cats. But it was a great time.
Demon cats.
Demon cats. So how you guys doing today? How's Whiskey Banger and Filipino Meatball?
I'm doing great. It's Friday. It's been a hectic week.
Big time.
Sipping on some whiskey, hanging out with my boys. Going to talk about some interesting topics.
Yeah. So Filipino Meatball, how you doing there, buddy?
Bro, this is the most stressful week of my life.
Dude.
Like,
okay. Yes.
I had 4 interviews in a matter of 5 days. And then I'm off work for the first time all year next week. This will be my first missed day.
I'm telling you, man, this week there was something in the air this week. Busiest week on record ever for our company. Busy. I mean, we're talking about this is like I've been there for years. Busiest week ever, which is good. But speaking of near-death experiences, I almost had one today. But I noticed. Hey, Greg in the chat, how you doing? Listen, for all you Mets fans out there, it's over. It's over. They're gonna lose tomorrow and Sunday, and it's over. We shit the bed.
Hey, just know that the Phillies are gonna beat the Cardinals, and you guys are just gonna be all pissed off.
Yeah, we're gonna be angry, pissed off fans. But hey, that's the way life goes for us Mets fans. Okay.
Glory be Harper.
Fuck. I hate that guy. What is Fran? Fran saying, Tanner, I've been dreaming about talking cats. I heard the story. That was a great story. All right, so today I figured we'd stick with the paranormal-ish type stuff and a subject that I am fascinated with. So there's always been the question of what happens after we pass away? What happens when we move on? Is there something life after death? Of course, there's religious aspects to this. There's other aspects to this. So I figured this would be a fun topic during the Halloween. It's Halloween. Did you know it was Halloween? Halloween time. So let me ask you guys this before we get started on some of the research I've done here. We're all believe maybe in something. We're not super religious people, but do you ever contemplate life after death? What happens, or is it just kind of an afterthought? You worry about it when the time comes.
It used to be an afterthought. Like when I was younger, I wasn't really raised religious. It was never really something that ever came up in conversation. When I was younger, not a lot of people had passed away in my life, so it was just kind of like, whatever, out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. Right. As I've gotten older, some people have passed away. All my grandparents have passed away. My dad recently passed away. So it's like, like you start thinking more and more about it. As I've gotten older, I've become not really more religious, just a little more spiritual, I guess. Sure. So it comes up quite a bit, like in my mind. I think about it a lot. It's a topic that I dive into, especially Cannoli Sasquatch. This is a topic that he really likes. We kick around ideas about it, and he's, hey, check out this book or check out this podcast. And yeah, it's interesting.
I think so. Meatball? What about you, Meatball?
Maybe it's because you guys are both old as shit. Maybe that's
you're not wrong.
I mean, I'm basically the exact opposite of Whiskey Banger. Like, I was raised in the church. Like, until I was 15, 16 years old, that twice a week, going to mass, right? I went to a Catholic school, everything like that. I'd say the older I got, the less and less it's been impactful to me, and the less and less I think about it. And a few years ago, a couple years now, when my dad passed, like, I thought it was going to hit me like a ton of bricks or whatever. And I think I got closer to my dad when he passed, mainly because the last few years of his life, he'd been fighting Alzheimer's and dementia and all that stuff. So it really wasn't the dad that I had growing up. Right. So when he passed, like, I don't know. The only thing that I remember back of him now are all the good memories. So
sure.
I think it kind of settled me into the whole, it is what it is. Your time's when your time, you can't control it. So you always might as well maximize the time while you have it here.
Yeah.
That's why they put credit limits on credit cards.
You can get multiple credit cards.
I mean, some of us just go to banks and get credit cards whenever they want to.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I kind of understand that. There is that aspect of, well, here's the part. Like Tim, like with Meatball, I grew up in a Catholic family, hardcore, going to church a lot. So the thing is growing up as a Catholic kid, a kid in the Catholic Church, and that whole thing, it was kind of mysterious. It was actually fun in some aspects because it was a tradition, all these midnight masses and Christmas and Easter things. And as you got older, you kind of saw through some of that. But where I found it fascinating for me, because I never thought about it really, was when, God, my grandfather died a long time ago. I was the first person closest to me that passed away. So I was like, watching him, he had cancer and then he formed dementia. So it was fascinating to see the decline and then kind of weird things that, yeah, the background looks great, wifey. You did a great job. The actual things he was doing and saying during this time, especially in hospice at the very end. I know it's depressing for some people, but it opened my eyes to certain things. Then I talked to some people in the actual place who believed in some odd things I thought at the time about what happens. Read this book and maybe look into this. And it's like, okay. So there was some strange stuff, certain things that he would say. Now, again, there's going to be the scientific theoretical point of this is what's happened to his brain. Fucking memories are coming back and this is what he's seeing. It was still kind of odd. He was mentioning people that had passed already. And he's like, oh, I haven't seen him in a while. He looks really good. And you're thinking, okay, is this a memory that's coming back to him? Or is this something he's seeing? I don't know. So it was fascinating to me. So I went into a whole freaking research period of 2 years reading books about the Bible. Then I read stuff about what religious people believe in the afterlife. Then I read about hey Frankie, thanks for joining, buddy. Did a lot of research on, I think people are gonna think I'm crazy, and I'm not saying I believe all of it, like what mediums believe and what people who do come back and have near-death experiences experience. And I think I remember I told Whiskey Banger this. I've read probably 7 or 8 books within a 2-month period, just nonstop. And that's my OCD though. I have to get the subject. I get into a subject, I go full out, and then I just kind of back off because I'm like, all right, I'm done. So there are interesting aspects to me of this. And then the more I researched it, the more I was not afraid of what was going to possibly happen, because I started to you ever read something or do something or research something, and in the back of your mind, you start thinking, maybe this is true. You feel comfortable with it. I don't know. Something in my gut. And we all know with Whiskey Bangers, the magical gut here.
Praise be.
Yeah, I just felt something felt right. But then you talk to the religious people I knew, they're like, no, it's Satan. And it's like, okay, this is where you lose me. Because not everything is not even you're saying is accurate. Maybe not everything I'm saying is accurate. You got to come in the middle here and count. Maybe there's some correlation here. What is Diana saying? When you see a hearse go by, then you'll know someday you'll die. They'll put it in a little box, cover you with dirt and rock. Is that a poem? That was beautiful. Made me want to start drinking a little bit, but that was beautiful. So,
are you hitting on my girl?
I am. Sorry, honey. I'm hitting on Diana. So let me ask, so what do you think? Okay, so let's start here because there's a lot to unpack here. But I'm glad Meatball's on here too, because for a person who kind of dismisses it, but kind of puts it in the background, I want to know this too. So let me start with you, Meatball. So what do you make of people who do have near-death experiences and come back with certain? Is it just kind of made up to you? Is there a scientific reason you think all right, these people there's got to be some explanation to this, or maybe do they see something we just can't explain? And does everything have to be explainable? Shouldn't there be some mystery?
I fully believe in near-death experiences. I fully believe that they are hypnosis or whatever you want to call it, right? If they're out-of-the-body experiences, to me, it's not, you just can't have that many of them with that many specifics of things without there being something to it, right? There's just something to it. What it is, I have no idea. Is it the afterlife? Is it the intermedium between the afterlife, right? Is it, I read it one time, there was someone who made a great positive about it. That was, what if it's your body trying to, how you get a concussion and then you go into a seizure and it's your body trying to reset your body, right? Your brain's trying to reset your body. What if this is your soul whatever, trying to reset itself, come out of the body, and then go back into the body, right? Like you're not technically dead, but it's just resetting your soul and your life agenda and stuff for that. So whenever I heard that one, that was kind of my biggest takeaway on it. With that being said, I feel
it's almost like a computer resetting itself.
Yes, like a hard reset.
Okay, that's kind of interesting. What about you, Whiskey Banger? Like when you hear these stories, because I'm kind of with Meatball on this. When you hear these stories, it's usually a lot of the same thing, right? It's always the same. I saw the light. I saw a loved one. I saw a tunnel. I saw beauty. I saw this. I saw that. I saw colors that I didn't understand, and I felt peace and love. And could all these people be wrong?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't think science. It annoys me because science tries to just give this super simplistic answer of like, oh, well, it's your brain releasing endorphins because you're on the verge of death. And because of that, you start to see things because, oh, I'm a Christian, so I'm going to see, light at the end of the tunnel and Jesus and the pearly gates and all that stuff. But they're not really like that. Like, yeah, there's usually a light at the end of the tunnel. But it's like, how do you explain seeing deceased loved ones? And it's not like when you last saw them, right? Like if your grandfather passed away and he was like in his 70s or 80s, you see them when they're younger and healthy and they talk to you and they interact with you and they say, hey, it's not your time. And then all of a sudden they feel this like a hand or something pulling them back. And it's like, and another one that I hear a lot and I read about a lot is a lot of them talk about they're in some kind of realm that is more real than real. So they come back. You get these guys, like here's an example. This is what I read in the book. A guy who was kind of like, mafia boss, kind of, we'll just say not the greatest law-abiding citizen type. Just leave it at that.
Is that a stereotype about my people, damn it?
There's I'm seeing a lot of, Frankies and Gregs and a lot of names I'm having a hard time pronouncing. So, but anyway, so this guy, he's kind of, I shouldn't say mob boss. He's more of like a, like a right-hand man type, like a tough guy.
Right. He's a mafioso.
Like a bodyguard type
guy.
And he got shot and he actually coded. He was clinically dead for, I think it was like 2 or 3 minutes, and they were able to revive him. Yes. What Frankie just said, you heard nothing. And so he clinically dead, no pulse, no brain activity for like 2 or 3 minutes. I don't remember exactly what it was, but they brought him back. And he talked about he was in this place, like you said, Cannoli, there was all these colors and everything was very surreal. And there was, deceased loved ones that were telling him, hey, like, it's not your time. You still have a lot of work to do. Yeah. And the guy came back and started taking up like, knitting. He was in like a book club. He freaking started coaching like kids soccer programs at like the YMCA and stuff. Wow. Completely like took that part of his life and it completely changed his entire outlook on everything. And it's that's amazing. I have a very hard time with the way science just kind of
dismisses
things. And it's one thing to read something in a book, like, okay, it's not that I don't believe the story, but like I know people personally who have had near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences.
Was it a cat?
We choked the cat.
When that demon cat was talking to me funny.
Rad rum.
I mean, to jump on Whiskey Banger's point, I've read something, this was years ago, about like how defeating science's point of view of like there's no afterlife, blah, blah, blah. And it all came back to one thing. Not any one person dies the same way, right? There are some people that accept it, right? Like, I want to die. I'm older. I'm in a lot of pain. I'm ready to go. Let's just slip into it. And then there are some guys like, and I'm thinking of all the war stories out there that just rage against the death, right? Yeah. Be shot 15 times, dragging a half a limb, but they're still in it. Like that, like people die differently. Some people die hard. And if that's the case, like, they should have different experiences, right? But they don't. They all have a lot of similarities in the intermedium. That's something that I'm like, explain that, science. You can't.
Yeah.
Just like you can't explain my 40-inch vertical.
Yeah, that's a dream. That's a dream you have. That's a real out of body experience. Yeah.
That's called a stack of freaking phone books, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, my apologies.
Jeez. Yeah, no, I agree, and I'm with whiskey too. Like I've known people who have had my, I'll give an example. My old boss, Valerie, I love that woman. She was great. Worked for her years ago. She had when she was younger, had a thanks, JT. I really appreciate that, buddy. Yeah. Like and subscribe, please. So she had an issue. I'm trying to remember because it was a while ago. She had an issue where she was either during a pregnancy. She had a pregnancy and she was hemorrhaging, and it was bad. I think it was with her first kid. I think her second kid, youngest. So she clinically died for, I want to say it was at least 5 to 10 minutes around that range. So she told me this story, and this was before I was really getting into this. Here's the thing. She saw the white light, right? Went through a tunnel. Beautiful color. Here's the thing. There's always another explanation. People make the colors that people see are it's not like what we know here. Like they're so vibrant and so beautiful. I don't know. They can't explain it. She sees her mother who passed away at the end of the tunnel. It says, I love you. Thank you for coming. Thanks for visiting. It is the same old story. Like Whiskey Banger said, it's not your time. You don't belong here yet. You have to go back. You have a life to live. You have all these people to help. And so she came back. Here's the key point they always say, though. Peace. There was no more worry. There was no more stress. It was like a feeling they can't explain. Like just kind of, you ever have that I don't know, the closest thing you can get to euphoria here where you're floating. And I'm not talking about taking drugs. I mean, just when you're at your happiest moment and you feel nothing else, everything else is blocked out. It's like a million times magnified. So she came back and literally for 2 weeks was in a bad mood. And this is another common thing when people come back. They don't want to come back because it's so good that, but she said from that day on, kind of what Whiskey Banger was saying, she devoted a lot of her time to not be as selfish and to help others. I've been doing a lot of research this week. I've been listening to stories while I'm working, and everybody who comes back changes their life in some way for the positive. So I agree. I don't think it's a coincidence. I'm sorry, JT Gunn. What is he talking about? 40-inch?
40-inch vertical, yo.
Oh, Filipinos supposed vertical.
JT, he's like 5'1".
Well, I needed that 40-inch vertical when I threw that lob down, remember? That dunk?
In the pool? In the pool? The hoop in the pool, you threw the 40-inch vertical? Oh, my God. I think if you did try to dunk on a 10-foot room, you would have a near-death experience.
This is what all I'm going to say is, in my entire life, even when I was in the best shape of my life, in my entire athletic career, I have never once been able to touch the bottom of the net.
I mean, I can't dunk.
I've dunked the basketball before.
Never got to the net, bro.
Now, granted, it wasn't pretty, but I've dunked the basketball.
It got it down, right? It got down.
Yeah, it got down all right. So did you. Fast. Called gravity.
Gravity, bro.
That 9.7 meters per second is a lie. It's way faster.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's funny. So yeah, there's always this. You hear these same stories over and over again. So there's just a few facts. So scientists who actually do study this and believe it have found that those who do have these experiences have a lot of the similarities. Here they are. A feeling of returning into their bodies, like Meatball was saying, how they kind of crash back into their bodies, a sense of peace, the presence of a light or lights and encounters with spirits or memories that come back. See, this is where doctors or scientists who don't believe will say, well, that's just the brain firing when you're dying and memories are coming back and blah, blah, blah. They say the life flashes before your eyes kind of thing. I don't know. So the more I looked into it, and this is where the problem with super religious people come in, right? They're not going to buy the whole, it's what they believe in the Bible. It's what they've been taught. This is what the afterlife is. You got to believe in so-and-so to get to this place. And all these religions have different rules. So the most fascinating book I read was by an Indian doctor. I can't remember his name at the moment. I should have wrote it down.
This guy in Indian stuff recently.
I know.
Jesus.
I'm obsessed with it. Fucking asshole.
JT,
hold on. JT Gunn, it's his fault. He got me into RRR. So he's brought me down this path.
Is it really RRR or is it R?
Yeah. I mean, you could say R, but you're like an Indian pirate now? I don't know. I don't know if they have like those types of pirates. So this Indian doctor was basically he was a Hindu, I guess you would say, and didn't believe in Jesus. It wasn't his religion, right? He didn't grow up with. When he died, he saw, like, he says he did, came back, and he changed his whole life. He was a famous surgeon, doctor, materialistic, had a big house in Malibu or whatever, off the ocean, everything you could possibly think could make you happy. But he wasn't happy. He thought he was happy, but he wasn't. Had some health issues, died, crossed over, saw his dad. His dad was a very abusive person in his life, pushed him very hard. Wasn't loving, but he was very tough, like not in the good way, though. Father said, I was wrong. I should have treated you better, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, this guy went through this whole near-death experience, came back, told his wife what happened, told his kids what happened, told his colleagues what happened. Everybody thought he was batshit crazy. He ended up giving up his whole medical career and opening up like these clinics to help people and all this. And ever since, thanks, JT, we try sometimes. We fuck around, but we do some deep thinking sometimes. So anyway, there's a whole book about this. And he's the people over there, whoever you want to say they are, the angels, whatever, told him, yeah, having all your shit is nice, but this is what you're really supposed to be doing with your life. Kind of gave him, so like you see something like that. And look, Whiskey Banger was pointing at this before. These people who do have the experiences, either they come back and change every aspect of their life for the positive. So I can't see that as a bad thing, whereas the really religious people say, no, you have to go down this path to be a good person, where these people are coming back more spiritual and believing in something else. How do you correlate those two? Like, shouldn't the super religious people who don't believe in this stuff have an open mind? That's part of the problem I have with super religious people. Who's breathing into the mic like they're getting pushed?
Where's the cat? Where the fuck is the cat?
JT, I'm sorry, buddy. So this is where I have a problem with the super religious Bible bumping people. Where I'm not saying they're always wrong. They have no open mind. They have no open mind to other things. Like they would say, this is heresy. This is the Satan. This is the devil's work. These people who talk to am I wrong, or are these people just insane?
No, but I think it's both. It goes both ends of the spectrum. If you get the super religious people, immediately everything is just God and, you're going to heaven or hell. Like, it's Satan, it's hell, it's all this fire and brimstone. But if you also get the, hardcore atheist, materialist, scientific minded person, like I said before, it's all just endorphins and you're having this release in your brain. And this is all just, everything's happening inside your mind. There's no soul. There's no anything. So it's like, I can't get on board with either end of the spectrum. For me, I have to be a lot more open-minded about things.
Well, I think there's a healthy level of skepticism. I think that's normal. And that's a good thing, to be somewhat skeptical of everything. Even the stuff I do read and believe, I'm always in the back of my mind going, yeah, but I don't know. Like, I don't think that going full in on anything is a good idea. You got to have some skepticism, and I think that's a healthy thing. But I agree with you. Yeah, the atheists will have their one version or whatever, and then you have these people who outside this box, these super spiritual people who, I don't know. Listen, they say they can talk to fucking dead. I don't know if that's true.
True.
They're giving it a different interpretation. They're saying, yes, there is a God, there is love. It's not what you were taught, though. So the fire and brimstone, judgmental God doesn't exist. It's all made up. But they do believe in a higher power. So would they be? I mean, what do you think about those people?
I mean, I would consider myself to be that kind of person. There's something else. I wouldn't necessarily call it a higher power per se, but just there's more to reality than we understand, right? I mean, we don't even know what the universe is about. We don't even know. I mean, hell, we don't even know what our freaking oceans on our own planet are about.
Yeah, because we are on flat Earth.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Yeah, we've been lied about that too, I guess.
Flat Earth is real. I don't care what you guys say.
No, it's because you jumped up and tried to dunk a ball, and the Earth went flat. That's what happened.
40 inches, bro.
That's what happened. Oh, that was a good segue there. Okay, so a lot of these books that I've read, and one of the most famous mediums, I guess, would be, his name's James Van Praagh. He's worldwide known. A lot of haters. A lot of people think he's crazy. A lot of people think he's legit. I don't know. There's a lot of these people who say that they cold read people's emotions and body language. Very well possibly could. He went through a near-death experience when he was young, came back, and all of a sudden, fucking, he's the sixth sense all of a sudden, right? He's got these abilities. He's got a very crazy interpretation of what the afterlife is like, and he's basically saying we shouldn't be afraid to die. It's not what you think. You really don't die. You move on, blah, 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 blah. So basically what he says is that once you cross, depending on what your belief system was on earth is how it's going to be in the next life to begin with. So if you were super religious and you believed in Jesus and all these religious people, that's what you're going to say. If you believed in Filipino meatballs as heaven where he can dunk basketballs, that's what you're going to get. You might even be 9 feet tall, just not even jumping, just slamming that shit down.
Yeah, it's Nate Robinson style. I'm throwing it on people.
And there's people who don't cross over, who don't want to believe that they're dead. They don't accept the exactly.
Get him, Zelda.
Exactly what he. That's not Zelda. That's
get him.
Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt.
Teddy Ruxpin Roosevelt.
Teddy Bear.
Teddy Grahams.
Damn it.
I used to love those things.
Teddy Williams.
That's my daughter's favorite snack. That's why you got named that one.
That's a freaking heavenly experience right there. So his whole thing is that. So here's the craziest part to me. The first thing that happens to you when you cross over, you see people that loved you. They bring you over. They explain what happened. And this is what I've heard from multiple people, not just one, not just two, but multiple sources. You get over there and you have to do what's called a life review, right? So you go through and it's not what you think. You're not being judged. And you got to remember, you think about this, there's no concept of time supposedly over there. So we're not interpreting time like we do here. So this could take what we consider years to go through. It could be done in seconds and minutes, but it's hard to comprehend. So you go through your life review with a group of people, and there's no judgment. It's just basically decisions you made that you could have made differently. How you would affected people. So one of the example was this guy went into a coffee shop, was pissed off that the barista was fucking up the order. He screamed at her. Put her in a bad mood, and it kind of was like a cycle. She yelled at her fucking mom and the kids, and it was like a whole perpetual cycle thing. And what the lesson was is that you had to feel whatever you did bad to someone, you had to feel what you did to them. So in the moment you get angry, you call somebody a shitbag. If it hurt their feelings, you actually get to feel that. If you hurt somebody physically, you get to feel their pain. And it's
Can you imagine feeling all the liberal pain?
That's a lot of goddamn pain.
That's
a lot of angry people watching She-Hulk and Lord of the Rings.
I'm like, do you just start screaming or do you start twerking? I just don't know what you
have to have blue hair, though.
I think you have to have some form of non-natural colored hair.
Yeah.
Could you imagine like Hitler's life review?
And there you go.
Good Lord.
Feeling the pain of all those people that he helped murder. So I kind of like this idea, though. I like the idea because the whole point is just this is supposed to help you grow, right? So what do you make of this? Like, I'm not saying you have to believe it. I actually like the idea of a life review because you could see choices on the outside looking in going, wow, why did I do that? Because in the moment here, we think, oh, this is the best possible solution. And sometimes you just quick spur the moment thoughts. You don't know how you treat people sometimes because you just, whatever, we're busy, we get annoyed, we get angry. Could be loved ones, could be strangers. What do you think about a life review as your first thing you go through when you pass over?
I think it'd be extremely humbling.
That's bullshit.
I think
bullshit.
Why we gotta bring up the past? What is this, a woman? This is just digging up the past here for no goddamn reason.
Digging up the past.
Well, because here's my argument that I'm going to have on it.
That's fine.
Coming from the Catholic side, right? This is the Catholic side of me. I was always told you have to earn your way in, right? So now we're going to go back and look at all the negative things I did and all the choices I could have made. Bitch, why don't we just talk about the time that I rounded up at Taco Bell and added the extra 20 cents to add to the scholarship program? Why don't we talk about that part?
Well,
what does that 20 cents do? You know what I mean? Like, I just think that, again, this is coming from the Catholic side of me. That the whole earning your way in here and the whole review thing is an odd thing. At this point, just make a decision. Like, I don't have to be a part of it. I'm like, what am I going to win an argument with whoever's the higher power, like negotiate my way in here. Don't just make the decision.
I'll have my mom make some Filipino meatballs.
Right. I don't need a life review. I lived the motherfucker. Just make a decision and move on.
No, I mean, I get your point, but the whole so having to relive somebody else's experience through things you did, though, wouldn't that help you grow as a person a little more?
I'm already dead as a person. What the fuck do I need to grow for?
See, there's the key right there. You just went into a whole thing. You're not really dead, right? Your body's dead, but your consciousness keeps moving on. That's the whole point. Like we're energy. We move on. Thoughts, our feelings, all the likes, dislikes, our personality stay the same. So why would that change if the body's gone? So think about it as like a temporary house, and we get rid of that when we go over. It makes sense to me.
The argument that I had with this was, okay, we do the review, right?
Sure.
Tim, you did this bad thing, right? Can I affect change into it? Like, is it like, you know what? I'm going to put you back into that spot and take from there and see how your life changes, right? If that was the situation and you're in an alternate universe, cool. I'm okay with that review. But if it's like, hey, this is what you could have done better. Now moving on with the afterlife, you're going to be chilling over there in the casita next to the not so great pool versus if you'd made the better decision, you'd be over to this pool, right? Like that's all I'm saying is like, what's the point if you can't affect change?
Well, what if the whole point was to grow as even a spiritual being and to move to help others, even there who are kind of either lost, need help. So you learn from your experience and you can teach somebody else. Okay, this is what I've learned. This is how you progress.
Bitch, am I getting paid to be a coach around here, or am I a superstar athlete?
Maybe
they don't pay the coach to have a 40-inch vertical on the sideline. They pay me on the court.
What do you think, Whiskey Bagger?
I just don't. I'm sorry. I just no.
I feel like Filipinos missing the point. The point isn't to remind you of what you've done or didn't do before you go hang out at the casita over with the not so good people. It's the whole point is, hey, we're going to go through this. You're going to see the things that you've done, the way that it's affected people. You're going to feel what they felt so that when you come back, which most people do, obviously, they come back to tell their story. Yeah. It betters you as a person. And like, I feel like it's supposed to, like what Cannoli said, it's the idea of it is to better you as a person, as a whole. So if you come back or you reincarnate or whatever ends up happening, you learn from that. You become more, like I said, with the Ginzo freaking mob guy. He came back totally changed.
Yeah.
And started making, better decisions, started being more humble, became
a better person. Yeah.
Empathetic to people, started caring more about people and started caring less about the materialistic things like money and cars and whatever. And I feel like that's the whole point of it.
So I guess my question is, because I agree with you. I think I didn't get the point of it. Let me ask this. Is this only in a circumstance where I'm coming back?
No. Every circumstance.
It's not.
This is every circumstance.
Because in the theory that I'm not coming back, right? I'm having this out-of-body experience and that's it. You're
gone. Yeah.
Right? Like, I think it's a waste of time and energy and whatever. If I'm coming back, right? Now I have to have the cognitive ability to process what happened, right? And then make a decision different in the past. Whereas to me, I don't feel like I'm going to be that person that's going to change anything. I'm going to be like, yo, that's pretty dope.
Well,
screw that barista chick. Let's go get more Starbucks. I just feel like I'm just not that person that would change.
Hold on. Here's speaking of what Whiskey Bang, we'll go down this path because there's another thing: reincarnation. If you do believe in it, supposedly what happens is that you do. This is where I had some trouble wrapping my head around this. This is really took me a long time to think maybe this is possible. So a lot of theory is that when you do decide to come back, you don't really necessarily remember what happened when you passed away, right? But you do come back dealing with the same problems over and over again to get them right. So this is fucked up. I don't know if you believe this. I don't know if I have believed this. There is free will, right? We all know there's free will. You make your choices. I totally believe that. And so do these people who talk about this stuff. But so you put basically when you come back, you basically create a whole outline of what your life might be. There's right choices and the wrong choices. Depending on what free will choices you make out of these decisions you create in the afterlife, when you come back, determines if you go down the right path. Supposedly, deja vu is a sign that you're going down the right path. I don't know if that's true, but when you ever have that feeling of deja vu, that's what that supposedly means. Again, it's a theory. This is what I've read. And then the other thing was, you basically create the outline. So whatever problems you had in the past life, you bring back with you to the next life, and you keep working on it, and you keep working on it until you get it right. So you're basically writing out your life. This is where I had a problem. You create your whole path before you come back. It's not God. It's nobody else. It's you, right? It's all on you. So that part I can kind of go, okay, well, yeah, because when you're on Earth, right, when you're living, your decisions are all on you, right? You and you alone. You have people that help you. You have family that loves you. You can get guidance and help. In the end, you got to live with yourself. At the end of the night, it's you and you. So why not? Why wouldn't I have that ability or authority for myself to create my own way? I write out what's going to happen. Then I can go the right way or the wrong way. The problem I had with that is that people who come into abusive lives, right? You're abused sexually by somebody your whole life. You're abused physically. You come into a poor part of the world, this and that. Supposedly it's all chosen before we come here. That part I still am on the fence about. But the more I think about it, the older I get. We talk about this all the time, guys, how there's so much fucked up shit going on in the world, right? People blame it on evil. People blame it on this and that. Could you wrap your head around the idea that you basically choose your whole outline and nope, God leaves it up to you. Your free will. You choose. You just have to make the right decisions.
No.
Yeah, I don't really.
It's hard, right? It's hard to think that.
It's hard to think that. I have a really hard time buying that because, I mean, kind of what you were alluding to is why would you choose that path for yourself? Like, why would you choose to become a junkie, a heroin addict,
right?
A rapist, a serial killer? Like, so what's the point?
What about the people who who come out of it though and actually become inspiring to others though? Like, say your goal is to come and suffer through this, work your way through it, and become a stronger, better person, so you can counsel other people who are going through the same thing.
I believe in the people that have great stories of perseverance and challenge and adaptation. Right? I don't think they get to choose that.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
I don't think that, my dad chose that he wanted to have Alzheimer's and not be able to remember his grandkids. I don't think that's something he wanted. I don't think that's something he would pick. You know what I mean? So like, I get where they're coming from. They're like, oh, you get to pick your path or whatever. I think that's like in the 1% of the 1%.
So do you feel that do you believe in fate? Do you believe things are just preordained? Doesn't matter. Maybe somebody created you and said, this is the way your life's going to go. I'm
a huge believer in fate, in destiny. And it was something that my grandmother told me on her deathbed that I actually have tattooed on my arm. Yeah. It's fate and destiny will bring you to a certain point. And from there, you have to reach out and grab it. If you don't reach out and grab it, fate may never bring you back there again. So fate will put you on a path, but it's your decisions that are going to make out what end up at the end of that path.
Okay, I can buy that.
I like that.
You believe in fate, Whiskey Bang? Do you believe when things happen? See, now we talk about this all the time, right? Yep. I don't believe things happen for a reason. I believe things are just meant to happen. Now, yes, there are paths you can choose, right? Free will. This is the best gift. If you believe in a higher power, or whatever it is, the best gift we were ever given is free will. It's all on you, right? You get to choose. You're going to make the wrong choices. Sometimes you learn from those bad decisions you make and you move on. If you have the will and the put away your self-pride and go, okay, I fucked up. I'm going to learn from this. Some people don't want to do that. They're stubborn. As I'm getting older, I'm not saying I don't believe in fate. I just don't know if things happen. Like, oh, that was luck. I don't believe in that. I just think it was meant to happen. I don't believe in luck. You do believe in luck?
I don't believe in luck. I don't believe in luck. I think preparation gets you there.
Yeah. And I think you're right. You got to see the opportunities as they come and take them. And you have that gut as the Whiskey Banger, the mighty godly gut. You have to go off that feeling. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Whiskey Banger. I know you were still talking.
Oh, I mean, I agree with the fate part of things. I really like what Filipino was saying, what his grandmother said.
Yes,
I think
good line.
that's exactly like that's the perfect way I think about it in my mind. Now that you said that, it's like that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Free will, I'm more on the lines of I like the analogy of like a fish in a fishbowl, right? Like a fish can swim however he wants and do whatever he wants in a fishbowl. But outside that fishbowl, there's like a greater world, there's a greater universe, there's a lot more things to play than just to say that you just have free will. I feel like there's something bigger out there. And I say that because I know too many people personally that they want to steer away from something no matter what, right? They're trying so hard to stay away, whatever it may be. And the example I use is there was a person that I know who they wanted to stay away from their mom. They didn't have a good relationship with their mom, and they kept trying to stay away. And all these random, again, coincidences would happen. And again, you know about me and coincidences. I don't believe in them.
Oh, yeah,
so this is where the whole greater fate comes into play rather than free will.
Yep.
So this guy kept trying to avoid his mom, kept trying to stay with for years, for like a decade and a half. And all of a sudden, a friend who moved away to a different state randomly ran into this dude's mom at like a gas station in the middle of nowhere in like Iowa, gives the mom his phone number, and she tries to call him. He doesn't answer. He doesn't want to talk to her again for like another couple of years, staying away. And like 4 or 5 years later, a cousin, again, in another state, runs into his mom like on the beach in like Oregon and is like, oh, hey, I've been trying to contact, so-and-so. I can't get a hold of him, blah, blah, blah. Oh, hey, here's his number. You should talk to him, or hey, let me call him real quick and I'll hand you the cell phone. And it's stories like that make me stop and go, okay, that's just, there's no way. Because at that point, free will is like out the window.
Yeah,
now,
it's some coincidence.
Yeah, like you could make the argument that, well, the mom's free will was to go and get back into touch with her son. So, I mean, that's a fair argument there. But I just feel like things are meant to be. I don't believe in coincidences. Yeah. I feel like, I have free will to like get up and, put my freaking chonies on and go to work.
Well, certain things. Yeah, little things, sure.
Yeah, like the little things. But I feel like fate is there. Destiny is there. But free will is like a minimal thing. It's not as broad as I think people like to make it out to be.
Well, yeah. And to your point, go ahead.
I have a quick story about fate and bringing you to a certain point, right?
Is this the 40-inch vertical story again?
Bro, it's a great movie. You should watch the movie. No, so like my sister went to a private Catholic girls' high school, and it was very far away from where I lived. So like they had carpools. And a part of that carpool, they would come and pick her up in the morning, and then someone else would drop her off, right? And so I got pretty used to that carpool coming in because I went to high school like a mile from where I lived. Sure. So one time my sister was coming home, and I didn't know this at the time, but I had I knew it at the time, but I had a huge crush on one of the girls that were in her carpool. And one time, sister gets out of the car, and they're like, "Oh, she forgot her notebook here." And she had my crush, the carpool crush, hands me the notebook, and our hands ever so gently touched each other, right? Ever so gently. What? And to this day, I was like, that was my fate right there. Look, here's the kickoff point to it. That person is Emma Stone. And so my fascination with Emma Stone is because we were soulmates and we just missed each other by ever so much. We could have been an item and I could have been like Mr. Stone. That's what could have happened, but it didn't happen. That's what fate brings us so close, and I just missed the opportunity, guys.
Dude, you didn't reach out.
Exactly. I didn't reach out and grab it.
You touched tips, but you didn't reach.
What was that? So you could have been in that movie with her, with Ryan Gosling instead of...
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. I'm basically Ryan Gosling, but this time I have a 40-inch vertical.
What was the name
that's
of that movie?
What could happen. I don't know.
Was the one where they're dancing and singing and shit? I forgot what it was called.
Yeah, and it's got Steve Carell.
Oh, that's a different movie. Yeah, I know.
I would have settled for being the what's his name, Jonah Hill in Superbad. I would have settled for that.
Here's where I love Filipino Meatball. We're talking about this deep conversation. He's talking about fucking Emma Stone. Like, I love him. But it's funny.
Connection.
But I get the connection.
Can you imagine if I'd have been like, Emma, I think me and you have something to something more to this, and then gone and take her on a date. I could have been Superman, and I could have been on Hacksaw Ridge, and we could have been an item. But no, I didn't. That's where I'm going with this.
She wasn't in Hacksaw Ridge.
Yeah, but her boyfriend is.
Who?
Garfield?
That's her boyfriend now?
I think they were an item for a while. I don't know if they're still together, but they were an item for a while. Yeah, they dated when they did Spider-Man.
That's right. She was Gwen Stacy.
Mm-hmm.
Those movies were very forgettable. So I don't remember who was in that movie.
I'm hoping in my heart of hearts I'm not forgettable, and she told Garfield about me. She's like, this one guy.
Yeah. He said the guy who couldn't shut up about a 40-inch vertical and he's 4'1". They broke up a long time ago. I thought so.
It's because he couldn't measure up to me. That's what it is.
That's what it is. Yeah. All that Hollywood life, and she said, "You know what? I want to live in fucking Buckeye."
Forget LA. I want to live in East LA.
Whatever the fuck your area is, it's like that is a pretty funny story, though. It's kind of funny. Can you imagine if Mrs. and Mrs. is Mr. and Mrs. Oh my God!
Look, I'll take her name, Mr. and Mrs. Stone. I don't even know if that's a real name.
Probably not. Most people don't know she was from here. So that's pretty interesting.
You're welcome.
My wife went to high school with her.
See?
Really? See? Yeah. Oh, it's fate. You know what? They could have been best friends. You could be living that good life.
See? Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna say something very unpopular here. Timmy.
My wife asked me if she were to give me a hall pass, right, for any 3 celebrities.
Emma Stone?
Who would it be? And before she got the question out, it's 1, 2, 3 Emma Stone, and I'll kick you to the curb. I would take the kidney out of you to give to Emma Stone if Emma Stone promised to be with me forever.
I mean, I like Emma Stone.
Hold on.
I don't know if the brakes. Hall pass though.
Filipino Meatball. What about what's her name from Modern Family? I thought she was your forever wife.
Remember, there's 3. Yes,
yeah, you said all, but you just said all him.
You said all 3 of them were Emma Stone.
Well, this was back in the day before I matured and experienced culture. Also, Kat Denning. Oh, I'm going to throw that out there.
Yeah, I forgot about her too.
Yeah, that's true.
I like Emma Stone. She's a good actress. She's funny.
She's okay. Yeah, she's all right. She's cute. She was better looking when she was younger. Then she had the anorexia problem in Hollywood.
Oh, yeah,
which is pretty normal, right?
Hollywood eating disorder. It's pretty normal.
Just throwing. Ariel Winters doesn't have an eating disorder. Just throw that out there.
No. Yeah, obviously.
How did we get here?
I don't know.
You started it, dude.
Did you notice one thing about last week when I wasn't here? Like, they didn't really go off the subject too much. Talking about, well, I'm excited.
Do you think it was you? Do you think it was you, or do you think it was me?
I must be a shitty hook because the only time I laughed my ass off was when Tanner said he was going to murder a cat. And then the wife did something with the microphone. She did what I did. She turned the microphone off for a while. And then Whiskey Bangers goes, it must be a family thing because they're retarded over there. They can't work fucking microphones.
Too much of this going on.
She said that, though. Did she say she's Italian? She likes to talk with her hands a lot. And so, Jesus. Getting back to the subject.
Yeah, what the fuck were we talking about?
I don't know. We were talking about angels and coincidences.
Fate. We were at fate.
Was it fate that we brought Filipino Meatball into this podcast? Was that fate? Was that pity?
Don't be mad when all of a sudden Emma Stone makes a shout out on her TikTok about how her long lost love has a podcast and your subscriber base blows up.
Emma Stone would not like us in the group of people that I talk to because she's
not liking us. She's liking me.
Like I
said, stop being selfish.
I need subscribers.
Emma, do you remember me?
Hey,
we touched hands once.
Emma Stone, I need you to like, subscribe, and share the channel, please. Jesus.
Bro, she's like 6 inches taller than you.
How tall is she?
She's 5'6".
Okay.
She's tall.
So we're clipping this whole scene out of Emma Stone. You know that, right? I'm gonna name the clip "The Afterlife" and Emma Stone.
Can you just like tag her in it just to see if she remembers me?
Oh yeah, I could tag her in it. Yeah. Sure. Like, do you know this? Do you know this man? I'd never met him in my life.
That was that creep that rubbed his pecker on me.
She's gonna be like, there he is. That's the guy I've been trying to serve with this restraining order for years.
What grade was this that you? Middle school?
No, she was it was like freshman year of my sister's freshman year in high school.
She's gonna look at you on the stream and go, "Why does he look the same that he did when he was like 12?"
The only difference is that pubic hair right there.
The little
is that why the priests still like him? Because he looks the same.
Oh my god.
Jesus.
Why is he crying when he does the sign of the cross?
Bring the whole new meaning of altar boys.
Father O'Brien used to tell me to do it and turn the other way. We're going to hell. I swear to God.
Talking about the afterlife.
Talking about the afterlife,
going to confession, being like, "I'm sorry, Father, I have not swallowed. It's been 10 days since I."
Oh my God. Jesus. Have you had your Holy Communion today, son? Have you drinking the holy wine today?
I didn't know there was a second hole in this confession booth. I apologize.
Listen, YouTube kicks us off. Please subscribe to Rumble. I need 100 people on Rumble so I can do live-based streams, please. Oh, God, I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. This happens every goddamn week. We just go off the rails. Whiskey Banger's like, you fucking assholes. Is there a hell? Okay, we can segue into that. Is there a hell? That's a good one. Thank you.
Yeah, it's called the LA. That's what it's called.
It's called being a Mets fan. That's what fucking hell is. No, perfect segue because this is one that is talked about often. So let me ask you a question. Do you picture hell as the fire and brimstone judgment hell, or do you see it as more of a mental place where you can't get past or forgive yourself for things that happen in your life?
I mean, I don't really believe in hell in like the
Religious
typical sense. Same thing with like heaven. I don't really believe in that either. I feel like there's something else going on when people pass away. But to answer your question, if I were to think about what hell is probably more like, I would say it's probably more of like you said, like a judgment. You're constantly dwelling on the bad things that you did in your life, and that's like your punishment for eternity. Because I feel like that would be horrendous.
There's a movie I don't know if you've ever seen this movie because it wasn't very popular. It was with Robin Williams. And it was called What Dreams May Come. When he basically dies. Do you ever hear this, Whiskey Man? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You ever heard of the movie? Yeah. So he dies in a car accident, leaves his kids and wife behind. No, his kids die in a car accident. Then he dies years later in a car accident. And his wife's left behind, right? Obviously. She commits suicide. So he goes to heaven, of course. And then his guardian angel's like, well, unfortunately, your wife passed away. And he's like, oh, great. I get to see her, right? We're all in heaven together. No. Because she committed suicide and had so much guilt and took her own life, she went to a I guess hell, not in the sense like we were talking about the fire, brimstone, with pitchforks and there's a devil. It was more of a mental state for her where she could not forgive her. She couldn't get over the fact that her family died and she couldn't forgive herself. She thought she was the cause of it. She didn't drive that day or whatever was supposed to happen. And when her kids died, then she thinks because she wasn't open enough, she closed herself off to her husband and didn't like grieve correctly. That I don't know. She just had a lot of guilt. So that was her hell. She thought she was still alive, and then every time he tried to bring her back to reality, she was like, "No, my husband's dead. My kids are dead. I lived this lonely life. I killed myself." She didn't know she killed herself. She kept saying, "I deserve to be alone." It was a very dark, dreary house that she was in.
What a selfish whore.
Exactly. But that's kind of what I see. When I read these books that I read, that's kind of the hell they describe. It's more of a mental state than it is I'm the devil, I'm going to keep you here with demon, like Constantine the movie kind of hell, where there's just, I kind of picture it as more of a mental place, because when listen, we have all been in bad dark places in regular life, right? That's, to me, is a version of hell. Life definitely is a version of hell because it's so painful and unforgiving. So why wouldn't that be the same thing when you cross over? It's a mental state, right? Your energy. I don't believe in the whole devil's going to be there. I'm going to get you, and you did this to a person 20 years ago, so you're going to be judged for this. And I do believe in the mental state of hell, though, where it's more of your own inner hell. Does that make sense?
I mean, I have something for this.
Oh God, it's not another Emma Stone story, is it?
No. So I took a theology class in college, and they talked about what is your hell versus what is your heaven, right? And what basically it was a midterm on it, like describe what you would call your heaven versus what you would call your hell, and like there were no constructs of, you weren't limited, right, by there were angels and devils and fire versus clouds or whatever. And it really came down to me is if I could describe my perfect hell, it's me alone with my thoughts without answers.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yo, like if you've ever written a term paper about that and just sat there and thought about it for a while, you're just like, yeah, that's scary as shit. Like sitting with your own thoughts and there's no answers, for eternity. Eternity, just overthinking everything.
I can see that as definitely a version of hell. There's nobody there to kind of snap you out of it or guide you to anything.
Right.
It's just you kind of replaying everything over and over and over again. Yeah, that's kind of the state I would see. That's kind of like my version of hell. That's what I think. You can, you do it in regular life, right? You relive mistakes that you made. Maybe I know some people move on from certain things, but you never really fully get over things. Reliving moments, traumatic experiences, but mostly it's things, bad decisions you've made. That anxiety you feel from that. There's nothing worse in life than fear. Like the one thing I've gotten at the whole theory behind everything in life is that you react off love or fear. Fear, we all know, it's a damn powerful thing. It'll hold you back from doing great things. Exactly. It'll hold you back from doing things. It'll prevent you from doing things. Or I envy people who just go out and balls out and do things. Just go ahead and do it. And they seem like they're happier people, even though people might think they're a little reckless sometimes. What do you make of that? What do you make of the whole... I'll ask you that, Whiskey Banger. Like, what do you make of the whole thing of just fear holding you back on everything? And it does. It's a very powerful thing.
Fear is one of the most, I mean, in my opinion, it's the most crippling thing out there. And it could be anything from phobias to actual fight or flight type fear. I mean, I've seen people absolutely freeze in their tracks in a life or death situation. And it's like, like you might want to move right now. Yeah. So, I mean, to me, it's absolutely debilitating. So for someone who has problems with letting go of things, like you said, and you're just constantly, living in your headspace, constantly questioning everything that you make, questioning all the things that you've done, the people that you hang out with. I feel like that's hell on earth right there.
That's a version of hell, yeah.
Yeah, so for people that have those anxieties like that, I really feel for people like that who just can't get out of their own head and they can't get out of their own way.
Yeah.
Let me ask this question. The people that live live in fear all the time, right? The people that are crippling anxiety and fear, do you feel like it's the same handicap for the people that are the complete opposite and live without fear of anything ever? And are just reckless?
Well, there's good reckless and bad reckless, right?
It would depend on the context.
Like, okay, I have a very good friend of mine who is a recovering drug addict, right? And if you ask him, the worst thing he ever did was when his best friends, he thought, kicked him out the side of a car as he was ODing, and he's dying on the steps of a hospital, right? Jesus. And he died. They brought him back. He died again. He brought him back, right? And that was his lowest point ever. And so now he says has no fear because he's experienced the bottom of the bottom, right? So like, I'm gonna go run a marathon. Did you train for it? Not at all. I might die. I don't really care. Let's just go with it, right? Like, and then he ends up in the hospital because dehydration at mile 30 or mile 10, whatever it was, right? So like, I see him, and I see a lot of other people now do it, especially on the YouTube and TikTok and Instagram world, of people just doing all this stuff with zero fear because they just are like, and what happens happens. To me, like the most enjoyable things that come in my life is when I accomplish something in spite of the fear, right? Like, just for a personal thing, I applied to a position that I am vastly underqualified for, but I have a final interview for it coming up, right? Like, I took that leap of faith. I took the chance that I was going to get humiliated professionally, and to me, it's a big accomplishment because I overcame the fear that I had. Whereas this guy would have been like, "Oh, they're hiring a CEO. Let's throw my resume in there," right?
Well, I get your point because, like in your instance, in your example, yes, you even if it's you think you're underqualified for the position. In your instance, it's that thing, right? You can think, well, if I don't do this, you never know, right? If I get it, like you said, you have a final interview, right? You didn't expect to be there, but you're there. So great. If you don't get the job, there are like, so maybe in your instance, you think, okay, what can I learn from this? Not to be afraid to apply for these types of positions, not to be afraid to put myself out there, right? You got to go for it. If you don't get it now, again, I don't believe in coincidences, right? So if you don't get it now, there are people who are like, oh God, my life sucks. I can never win. I'm always this. I don't think you would do that. You might not be happy. And it's okay to be disappointed. But I don't me now in my life when things don't go the way I want. I see it as a life lesson, and I'm like, what did I learn from this? I pull back a little bit and go, what did I learn? What can I learn to improve? There will be a time, as long as you're putting yourself out there, right? As long as you're you're taking that risk. Yeah, there's a point where you could become too reckless, a little over the top, and have to pull back a little bit. But in your example, there are people who would not apply for that job and then sit 5 years from now going, shit, who knows? That could have been me. That could have been me instead of the meatball up there telling me what to do. I could have been doing something like that, and now I'm stuck at the same position. What do I do? Tell them the quote you told me about when you don't get an opportunity, how God has. Oh, yeah, I heard this. Yeah, it was a great quote I heard on social media the other day. Again, not that you have to be super religious to believe this, but it kind of made me think. And the quote was, when you get what you want, it's God. Oh God, what was it? When you get what you want,
greatest quote ever.
Yeah.
Put it on
a t-shirt. What you want, you could jump a 40-inch vertical and slam.
We're going to be in podcast episode 200, and you're going to be like,
God damn it, 40-inch vertical. I got the quote. I can't remember it now. God damn it. She put me on the spot. Anyway, it's something along the lines like, when God gives you what you want, it's because it was meant to happen, right? But when you don't get what you want, it's God protecting you. And I was like, I thought about that for a second, and I was like, all right, so when you do get what you want, it's because you did have that coming to you at that time. Now everybody says, God, there's a reason for this, and there's a plan. So it made sense, though, in some ways, like where if you don't get everything you want, like you don't get this job opportunity, you could think, shit. There are people who are going to be like, oh, man, I never get anything I want. But they don't see the bigger picture, maybe. I just like the saying, like, you're being protected and you don't know why. And then it kind of, you never have those moments where, like, a while later, you're like, oh, that's why this happened. So, yeah, I agree. I'm sorry, Whiskey. You were going to say something?
I was just going to say, I feel that the person who lives in fear and anxiety has it worse than the person who is totally reckless, because at least the person who's reckless, they're at least out there doing shit.
At least they're
living their life. They're, they might be nonchalant. They might be even dangerous about it, whether to themselves or other people. But that person that just lives in fear and anxiety all the time, they will never move forward in life. They will never be happy in life.
Yeah,
like
I agree.
Cannoli said, that person sit at home totally like anxiety through the roof. They're not going to apply for that job.
No,
they're not going to freaking take the risk. They don't want to be embarrassed. They don't want to be any of those things. So they're basically, like I said, they're living in, hell on earth.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I agree. Because it does hold you back from true happiness.
Can we just talk about this?
I know.
It's fate. Fate is bringing Emma and I together. It's real. It's real. It's happening.
Yeah, but they're losing. So how does that help me?
Maybe that's the catalyst. And then all of a sudden
we needed Emma. I needed Emma Stone.
We need Emma Stone. Maybe that's the rally monkey this year.
That's some rally monkey. That's some. Of course, I had. You know what? Maybe Tim's gone to something. Maybe Meatball's on to something. That is how ironic is. See, I don't believe in coincidences.
I don't either, dude.
We were meant to be on this show talking about Emma Stone, and she appears on a playoff baseball game out of nowhere.
Hey, she could have been at any game. She could have been at any game.
Yeah, she's at
City Field
or City Field in that game. Wow.
And at the time that you're not watching the game, but Diana is. But Diana is, and yet she's still here in the podcast. Fate. Look, it's putting us together. Someone tag her in the comments. Someone.
I believe. So.
Look, if the Mets win the World Series, it's because of me and Emma Stone.
Well, if the Mets win the World Series now, I'm Jamie. Sorry, but Emma Stone's going to become living with us. I'm going to hunt her down. Sorry, I'll get her away from those liberal ways.
Just remember, be like, hey Emma, does this rack smell like chloroform? Into the back of the van.
No, I'm going to be like, I have a Biden party at my house. Yeah, I'm bilingual. Diana says. What are the languages she speaks? Do we know what languages Diana speaks?
Hieroglyphics when I'm doing my thing.
I'm going to say French.
Hieroglyphics? What the fuck? Is that a language? That's not a language. It's something you write down. What the fuck? You're giving me YouTube short gold here. You're giving me. Wait, does Whiskey Bagger say French?
I think Diana speaks French.
Probably Francais.
Look at the memory on this dude. I wouldn't have remembered that.
Hey,
it's just a guess.
Do you know how to say my last name in French?
Gilberto.
No, that's Spanish, genius.
Gilbert?
No. Do you know how I found this out? A guy that's a huge fan of hockey asked me if I pronounced my name the way that it's pronounced, Gilbert or Gilbert. And I was like, well, now it's going to be Gilbert from now on.
Forget Filipino meatball. You're freaking Gilbert.
Right? Bro, he's like, that's how they say it in French. And I was like, yo, why is this not a thing 24/7?
Gilbert. So when you go downstairs, you go, honey, I want you to call me Gilbert from now on. When she slaps you, and stabs you. But I'm Gilbert. Oh my God, it's happening again. Whiskey, how do you let this happen? You're supposed to be the glue, buddy.
Dude.
I think you should rename this podcast the Sidetrack Podcast featuring Cannoli and Whiskey Banger.
My man last week closed the show for us. This guy who's afraid, talking about fear, he hates being in front of people, and he closes out the show like a man because the StreamYard shit the bed. Yeah, and so what kept happening, I don't know if you saw the end of it. You came in, then Jamie came in. Then you came in, then she came in. So I edited it down correctly, made you both look like pros.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was clutch, right? Talk about facing your fears, there, buddy.
Yeah, dude. Well, I'm sitting here and we're finishing it up, closing it out, and all of a sudden she just disappears. Mm-hmm. I'm like, well,
yeah. She texted me. She goes, I think StreamYard died, and StreamYard did die. I was having issues that night. But I edit. This is what the power of editing. I made you both look like pros. You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You're welcome. I put you on at a dealership.
Thank you.
That's pretty awesome.
While you guys were making fun of the car I bought her.
I did. Yeah. I wasn't making. I wasn't even in the state when you bought the car.
Do you know what the best part? Quick story that had nothing to do with our topic tonight. Sorry. When you go in there and they're like, we're gonna see if we can get you qualified for credit, and then you start laughing at the finance manager.
Right. You're like, do you know my credit score?
Do you know my credit starts with an 8, my friend? Like, do you want to put this on a credit card? Because I can.
You know what he's going to say? Here's what he should have said. You can take this car for half the cost if you can dunk this ball on a 40, on a full 10-foot rim.
I still can't touch the net.
I bet you try though. Shit.
You just start hearing in the background, I believe I can fly. And then start running. Why is he running in slow-mo? Why is he running in slow-mo?
That's when the meatball prays to his spirit guide. Lift me up. You raise me up.
I need, as you're running, you're like, Jesus, if you're there, I need that out-of-body experience right now.
I need to float now. I need 20 grand off this car. Oh, that would be hilarious. You just see his soul leave his body. Like, he died, but we got the car.
But it's half price.
Oh my God. Anyway. All right, let me ask you this.
I had to go on that one tangent.
No, that was funny. Let me ask you this. Have you ever noticed any weird coincidences or what people perceive as messages from loved ones when they pass over? Could be feeling, could be something that's left behind, a scent. Anybody ever notice these things when somebody they really love or close to passes on?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Meatball, you go.
Yes.
You go first.
Yes. Okay, so right after, maybe like a month after my grandmother passed away, this was a pre-planned trip, but we had gone to San Diego, right? And we decided that one night we were going to go to the Gas Lamp District, right? Have fun. So we're there, and of course, there's one of those fortune teller places, and I was like, maybe a little bit too many margaritas in, but I was like, let's go to the fortune teller. I've never been to a fortune teller. This is cool, right? Do it. So going to the fortune teller, and I am a 1,000% skeptic of fortune tellers. It's fine. Okay? 1,000%. And so thank you. And so I'm sitting there, and I remember, the thing I remember most was like, God, I can't believe I wasted $20 on this when I could have got another margarita. Right. And so $20, and they do the shuffle of the tarot cards, and they're going to read your fortune, right? And so they read my fortune, and it's all super generic stuff that they're trying to pick at you from, right? And at the end, I'm like, it's absolute garbage. I don't really care. And I think she probably knew it the whole time, right? And so at the end of this little 5-minute extravaganza, I'm like, okay, thank you. Shake her hand and walk away. As I go to shake her hand, she like two-hand grabs my hand, and she says, your Lola says the best is yet to come, and don't give up. And I was like, the fuck? And walked away, right? Like, walked away. And I was like, first of all, how does she know that my grandma's, like, we called her Lola and not grandma, right? One, legitimately, 48 hours later, we got the positive pregnancy test.
Oh, wow.
Like, to this day, right? I'm like, yo, Allie wasn't anywhere near. She was in at a bar, right? Like, no clue whatsoever. And, like, granted, we had been trying for like 2.5 years at that point, right? Like, in my mind, I was like, wait, what? And then, so, by the way, also scary fact, I went back there later on, like years later.
Yeah.
Not a tarot card place or whatever. Not there anymore. It's like a small little dive bar thing. And I was like, oh, the one time that I'm here, there's a freaking psychic here. There's not a psychic here.
To give you messages from the beyond.
Right. So like
no coincidences.
To this day, I don't believe in them. They're charlatans. It's for entertainment purposes over. But that fucking blew my mind and scared the shit out of me.
That's kind of wild. What about other like scenarios though? Like, you ever notice? I don't know. There's people who's, like I said, there's a certain scent that they know, or a song comes on the radio, or a name that comes up in a certain spot when you're thinking about these people, like little things like that too. That's happened to me.
Explain.
Yeah, I kind of need more.
Yeah, because like I haven't experienced anything like that. As far as like
right after my grandfather died. Now again, this could be just a conscious thing. Like, I'm thinking about him at the time. It was probably about a few weeks after he passed away, and I was living with Jamie in an apartment complex at the time. It was years ago, and I was a little upset, whatever. But we had family in town at the time, so they were all getting ready to leave soon. So I was leaving my apartment, and this old man walked by me, and I wasn't gonna say anything to him because just whatever. And he goes, "Oh, hey, son," and I'm like, "Okay, hello, how you doing? Nice day and all. Yeah, great." This is in May, I think. Yeah, and then he turns to me and he goes, "I want you to know that," he said something about, "I want you to know that it's okay." And I'm like, the fuck are you talking about? Who is this guy? I was like, you get that.
It's real.
The self-defense thing comes up like, whoa, but he was like an older dude. I was like, he's like, yeah, I want you to know you're going to have a great day. And I wasn't paying attention in the moment. And then I said, oh, okay, thank you. He goes, yeah, I just sense that you just needed to hear that. And I was like, okay. And so I said, oh, what do you, I said, thank you, appreciate that. And then I look at him, and he looks just like my fucking grandfather. Like almost, how old people all have the same kind of features that. So I was like, oh, okay. I was like, that's
racist.
Yes. Yes. He was.
Ageist.
It was aging him. So I literally turned my head.
Did you assume his gender and age? Jesus Christ.
So I went to turn to walk away in less than a second. And this is a long pathway. There's nowhere to go where I wouldn't have seen him. Like nowhere to go. I mean, nowhere. So there was a wall here. My apartment's here. And a mile of freaking road ahead of me and behind me. And there's nowhere to go but straight or behind me or back my way. I look and he's gone. Like I'm talking about, how you blink and turn real quick? Guy was gone. All he said was, I want you to know you're going to be okay. Have a great day. Nice seeing you, and peace out. I freaked me the fuck out. I went home and told my mom. I was like, I don't know, maybe Jamie fed me some fucking mushrooms the night before I was hallucinating. Like stuff like that. And then for the rest of the while, I would hear songs on the radio with the name Vinny in it. What the fuck do you ever hear a song with the name Vinny? That was his name, Vincent, right? Or I don't know, stupid little things like that. And again, it could have just been because it was on my mind. The guy scared me though.
That's a creepy story.
And then with the one Jamie's talking about when she was pregnant, so to get a little personal, we tried to have a baby a long time ago. Jamie had a miscarriage. I feel in my bones it was a boy, just because whatever. It's just my opinion. It's what I felt in my gut. So we weren't going to try for a while. We were going to go on a big family reunion East Coast trip to see all these people. While we're planning this, I don't know how many months later it was. By the way, she had the miscarriage on Mother's Day. So thank you. Yeah, thank you. And with her past, it made sense because she has a shit mother and whatever. So I had a dream months later that I was in bed. And you ever have those dreams that are so vivid that they feel real, right? I remembered the whole thing. We're in our bedroom. It looked exactly like the bedroom we are in now. I was playing with my daughter. I shit you not, I swear on my dead relative, she looked just like Juliana as a baby. I was playing with her, laughing. She's like, oh, haha, daddy, all this stuff. And Jamie was sitting next to me. And I woke up and I told Jamie about the dream. She goes, oh, that's interesting. And then not long after, oh, guess what? We're pregnant. Kind of the same situation. And then here we go. Juliana pops out, and while she's getting a little older, a few months older, I was like, holy shit, she looks exactly like the fucking dream I had. Freaked me the fuck out. So that was wild, but it made Jamie comfortable because it made her think, okay, well, now this pregnancy is going to go well. It was almost like a sign, like this is the right time. So anyway, little things like that. Sorry, Whiskey, I know you were going to say something.
No, I never really had any kind of experience like that as far as like you were saying a little bit ago about hearing a certain song or like smelling a certain fragrance or anything like that. But I touched on it last week when Mrs. Sasquatch and I were talking. It was the only thing I ever had happen. I'll just run through it real quick again.
Yeah, sure.
It was my dad was actually, I'll say this. So while my dad was in the hospital, his condition was getting a little bit worse, but because of like COVID and whatnot, we weren't allowed to like stay there very long. We couldn't stay there overnight or anything like that. So one of the times I went in there, my dad, this is a little off topic, but it's kind of what we were talking about before. My dad had made a comment of his friends came to see him. And in my mind, I'm just thinking like, oh, like, Bill and Dave and, Johnny or whoever. Didn't think anything of it. And afterwards, I had to leave. On my way home, I was talking to my mom and just letting her know, like, hey, he's this and that. Like, he's kind of seems out of it a little bit. And I was like, oh, but some of his friends like stopped by to say, hey, I guess. And she's like, who? Like, nobody went to see him. Like, you're the only person that saw him today. And it like clicked in my head, like, holy shit.
Could have been,
like because he has a handful of friends that have already passed away.
wow.
And so, I mean, that's one thing that really kind of piqued my interest. But to tell the story real quick that I kind of touched on last week. So my dad was in the hospital, his health is declining. And again, we couldn't stay overnight. So I'm at home, sleeping. And at like 3 something in the morning, it's like 3:45 in the morning, I just wake up. And that's not totally uncommon for me, but I'm kind of a light sleeper. But I don't know why I woke up. Like I didn't have to go to the bathroom or anything like that. So I'm just kind of laying there and I just, like looking around like, all right, whatever. So I close my eyes and like in my vision with my eyes closed, all of a sudden I see this like, humanoid type figure like completely filling up my vision, like with my eyes closed. And immediately it was just like, oh, it's my dad. Like it felt like my dad. I knew it was my dad. I had that comfort feeling like when I swing by my parents' house and like, give the old man a hug. That's what it felt like. It didn't like register in my head. I was just like, well, that's weird. What is this? Like, I don't understand what's happening right now. So then the figure looked like, initially I thought it was like fire, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized it looked like what energy would look like, right? Like,
Sure.
Like a superhero character that's just made of like
light,
light and protons or whatever. And then it just, faded off into the distance into my view and it was over. I was like, okay. So not even 5 minutes later, my mom calls and says, hey, your dad passed away. And it's like,
wow.
Oh shit. So for the longest time, I had a hard time understanding what happened.
Sure,
so like several months went by and I hadn't told anyone. I didn't even tell my freaking wife, like I was having such a hard time understanding like what happened and like trying to explain it in my own head.
Right.
And then I told my wife about it and opened up to her about it. And she was very awesome about it. Right, babe?
Very open about it.
Yeah. She was, she was very, she's a very spiritual person. So she was very like, oh yeah, that's definitely your dad.
Hi, Cassie.
Passing over. She says hello.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, no, I that's awesome. That's a powerful story.
It's weird. Like I've said, I'm not a very, religious person. So I'd never experienced anything like that before. So just trying to understand it in my head was extremely hard.
I mean, if you want my interpretation from, again, and I'm only doing it based on stuff I've researched, right? Because I've read so many stories, and even from my own family members that have had experiences with that. When my grandfather passed away, it was a similar thing back in New Jersey. My cousin, when she was really young, she said, "Oh, Grandpa came to see me," and then he died like a few, how many hours after. I do believe in that stuff because to me, it was his way of saying, all right, Tanner, you know what? I'm moving on. I'm saying goodbye, but I'm coming to see you. Because why not? Like, you know what I mean? He's going to go to and again, books I've read from people who have passed over, they go say goodbye to their loved ones. So I don't think it was anything in your mind that you were imagining. I do believe that it was his way of saying goodbye. And if you felt comfort, from everything I've read too and researched, that's definitely a loved one or a family member projecting that back to you. So, that's an amazing story. I mean, I totally believe it was true. I think Cassie's right. Like, it definitely 100% open to that. It was him doing that. And that's cool. And, appreciate you open up about that. I know you don't like to talk shit like that, but yeah, that's awesome, man. I think it's a great experience. Juliana saw my grandfather. Did I tell you this guy's story when she pointed to the picture in my parents' house? When my grandfather, she kept saying, there's an old man coming to see me, and she was really young. And they say that kids and babies, their minds are more open to this stuff, right? So, so my mom got the picture of my wedding picture out. Nobody pointed to the picture. Nobody said, this is the guy, right? So all I said to Juliana, I was like, who's the man who comes sees you? And she, without a second's hesitation, goes, that's him. He just comes and say hello sometimes. And I'm like, what? the fuck? And then, I think Jamie, Mrs. Sasquatch, pointed it last week when my dad's father died. About she used to leave my daughter money once in a while, and then he came to visit her and left her like $1 and a few pennies on the dresser that was supposedly not there. And she kind of came to and went, and they were there. Very weird shit like that. But I do believe in it. So, yeah, Whiskey. I think that definitely was him in his way. But that's awesome that it happened to you, because you know why? People that have that happen to them, it opens up their mind even further to other possibilities in that realm, right? And if it was me, and that happened to me, yes, it's kind of creepy and like, what happened here? But it'll also be comforting in another sense, thinking, well, shit, he's obviously okay, right? He passed away. He's coming to say goodbye, so he's not hurt. He's not in pain anymore. So, yeah, I totally believe in that stuff. Unless it's Emma Stone, then. But
Emma would come in my dreams. I'm just gonna say.
Yeah, hey, this is a family show.
This is a family show about serious matters. You son of a bitch. Yeah, and that's another thing that people have happen a lot of in this research that we've done. My wife and I've done. Jamie and I did. A lot of that happens. A lot. I mean, a lot. I think the most intriguing thing I've ever read is suicides. What happens to suicides when they pass? So there's one book I read about a suicide who had mental health issues. He was bipolar. Ended up killing himself when he was a teenager. And what the creepy part about what it was, now again, you can say it's fake or not. The creepy part about his journey is that he shot himself with a .44 Magnum. But when he came to, he said he could smell the gunpowder in the air, and he thought, oh, I didn't do this right. I got to go back and redo this now, right? I'm still alive. Then he realized he didn't feel any pain. Fuck. See, Emma Stone's wearing a San Diego shirt. Get the that's your girl. That's your girl, Meatball.
Oh, yes.
That means she's not a Diamondback fan, though. So that's.
I can convert her.
Yeah, we'll see. With your 40-inch non-vertical.
Doubt it.
I got 40 inches of something for her. Most of it's chloroform, but whatever.
No, you put the decimal point in the wrong place. It's .40.
I mean, you just got to compete with Ryan Gosling. No big deal.
Yeah, no big deal.
Are you saying that? Look, I'm not a liability at corner. That's all I know. I'm not a liability.
That took me a second, but that was great.
Oh my God.
Remember the Titans, people.
Remember the Titans. You're a sick individual. I can't have this.
You want to give it to Petey? Go give it to Petey.
Sunshine. I don't know how I got. Where do we go wrong? I don't understand. Yeah, I'm going to talk about the freezing of the bodies, because that was on the documentary Whiskey Banger had me watch the other night. That was fucking creepy. That's a company in Arizona that does that. We'll get into that right after this. So anyway, kid commits suicide, wakes up, and it's kind of like, you remember the movie Ghost? Everybody here see the movie Ghost?
No.
Yes.
Okay, so you never saw Ghost?
Not once.
That's Filipino.
Okay. I'm going to spoil the movie for you.
He's never going to watch it.
No.
Yeah, I think it's been out for a few years.
Yeah, for 50. But remember the part where Swayze gets shot and he's chasing after the guy and he look.
Patrick Swayze?
Yeah.
He's in movies?
Yes. Was.
I didn't know this.
So remember the part when he's chasing the guy that shot him and he kind of comes back and he sees himself laying on the ground and he's like, what the fuck? Kind of like what this kid was experiencing. The hardest part for him was not accepting, again, that he was dead. And he went through a whole thing where he saw his family members find him and he had to live through all that. Finally, he did end up crossing over because somebody helped him cross over, supposedly. But suicide, I got to imagine, is if that's true and you kind of have your awareness and senses, and that's got to be like just the idea alone, though, of you passing away. And you hear these people in the hospitals when they're looking back at their bodies while they're crossing over. Or something tragic happens and they don't expect that they're dead. So that would kind of. What the hell was that? Did your dog just choke on something?
So when I went off camera, this mother was walking around with a bleach bottle. like a big ass bleach bottle just by the handle, walking him around. So like I can't let him drink bleach, so like I had to go get it. And now he's walking around with the full 12-pack of soda. Like I don't even.
This guy's having a party. Talk about living without fear. This dog's going he's down.
This is walking up the stairs, like mouth in the handle spot of a 12-pack of Coke, and I'm like, "What? Who taught you that too? Is your neck gonna snap?" Jesus, this thing.
Back on subject. So, do you think? So, there's a bigger question here. We talked about this a little bit before. Do you think your body's temporary, right? So your mind, your consciousness moves on because it's energy, right? So do you believe that you have that awareness? Like you can kind of still have the same senses, fears, joy, all that, but without your body. I can't explain what that would be like because I've never experienced it, but what do you think about that? Like, do you think when you cross over, you're going to be like, what the hell just happened?
I would say yes. I would be curious as far as like certain senses, like, touch, taste, smell. Like I understand the, your energy, your soul, whatever you want to call it. It's not going to go anywhere, right? You can't destroy it since it's energy. So I could see it being there.
Right.
But like I said, are you going to be able to smell things like without the olfactory sensors? Can you hear things? Like, I don't know. That would be
that part's weird, right? Well, my thing is, from what I understand, you do pass, and you just because you're in your body for so long, it just becomes a part, like kind of part of you in a way. So why would your thought process change if your soul's the one running things? Basically, that's the fucking engine. I guess, yeah. Wouldn't it kind of make sense that you still would think you have that body, even though you don't? Like you're gonna kind of move around, like try to move around the thing. Oh, I can just move my arms. I can move my legs. I can smell it. But wait, I'm not alive anymore. You're right. It is kind of hard to comprehend, but it kind of would make sense that you still think you have that ability, even though you don't.
I have a theory.
Tell me.
So, this is based off of something I'd read before. So, like out of body experience on an operating table, right? Like you die on the operating table, you float up to the top of the room, you can able to see everybody doing their thing, whatever, right? And the theory was that your soul leaves your body, right? You now don't have those factory senses of smell, sight, hearing, all that stuff, right?
Right.
And so all that noise goes away. And the only thing that you're experiencing is like the unseen senses that you have. That sixth sense of the fight or flight, right? Of all that, of someone's compassion versus someone's hatred or whatever, right? And that's what you're feeling in that moment of things in that room or things in your life or the ones closest to you. And then when you go back, right? So you go back into the body, they bring you back. That's what you retain is those feelings, not the I heard someone say this or I saw someone do this or whatever. It's the I felt someone feel this way.
So you're more open to that. Yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense, right? Because your energy now, so you would be more in tune with that.
Right.
Yeah, I can see that. A lot of those stories. The thing maybe too is the reason why you don't feel the same things. Maybe because without the body, you're not going to feel the same. Your soul's free, right? It's pure energy, so you're not going to have the same
21 grams.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's just weird. It's weird. The whole out of body experience thing is weird. There's people who said they travel to the astral plane while they're sleeping. That fucking freaks me out. And they come crashing back into their bodies and wake up. That freaks me out because it's like it feels like a dream, but then they remember everything very specific and remember crashing into their body and it wakes them up. That would fucking be weird. So I don't know. There's all these different dimensions and planes, and there's a lot of theories about how heaven is not above. It's kind of just another dimension in front of us. We just can't see.
It's on the other side of the flat Earth.
Yeah, there you go. With Emma Stone's just waiting for you. The whole vibrational sequences that were on a lower vibration. There's a rumor, not a rumor, but there's a theory.
Isn't the vibration thing really deep into that whole chakra stuff?
Yeah, chakras. Yes. Yeah, the colors and what senses. And then there's a lot of theories about people who are autistic. The reason why they are different is because they're on a much higher vibrational frequency than regular people. So obviously they're going to seem weird, right? They can't communicate well with people. There's a lot of theories that because they can kind of just their whole being is on a much higher frequency than ours. So they're vibrating more. That's why they can't communicate with normal people. That's kind of interesting. I don't know if that's true because of course, the doctors and scientists will say it's a brain thing, it's a chemical thing. But it kind of does make sense because there's a reason why they're so smart too. So maybe they just can't communicate. They have poor communication with human beings because they're just sensing things that we can't. I don't know. They're very sensitive too, right? Most people with autism.
Well, don't they say that about dogs too? That they can sense things that other people just don't sense because they're at a different. I always heard of a different wavelength.
Yeah, exactly. Much higher than we are. So that could make sense. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Whiskey? Is this all bullshit, or do you kind of buy into that whole?
I mean, I could buy into it. I've heard a lot of people talking not so much about autism, but like people with schizophrenia that they are. It's not so much that they're just crazy and they're hearing voices. It's they're hearing things that other people can't hear. They're at a different level, different plane, different vibration. That's another.
So they're actually seeing like people from other dimensions, almost kind of, because they can kind of their bodies can frequency that high, kind of thing.
Yeah, you're not crazy. Put those pills down.
Don't go out and murder people.
Yeah. The voices told you.
You remember that documentary, that podcast we did listen to, Where Did the Road Go? There, I think there was one episode where we listened to when we worked together, where how they were saying how these people who think they see demons and all these weird shit phenomenon is actually. If I'm mistaken, let me know. People crossing back from other dimensions. It's not necessarily like devils and demons. It's just things we don't understand from other dimensions coming through. If I'm wrong, I think I remember that episode. It was a while ago when I listened to it. But it's things we don't
just say, I have the perfect example of that. Demi Lovato. I mean, understand it. That's a fucking demon if I've ever seen a goddamn demon in my life.
Well, what she went through was fucking scary.
Wait, did you just call her she? Did you get her permission?
She went back.
Yeah,
she go back?
She's feeling feminine again. She said.
No, but to answer your question about the podcast, it was basically people were having these experiences, and a lot of people were chalking it up to, oh, it's just demonic, it's aliens, it's whatever. But it's actually the idea is there's different dimensions, and it's entities from other dimensions that are passing back and forth. Now, do I believe in that 100%? No, but it's an interesting idea.
Yeah, it is interesting because, I mean, I guess there's some possibility, right? Yeah, you're right. I think you said this in the beginning of the show. There's so many things that were unexplainable that we're never going to learn, and we probably shouldn't, but it's fun to explore. From what I understand, when you do cross over, you get all the answers. You're like, oh, that's what that was supposed to be. And that's why this is happening. And this is the whole, there's a lot of the theory that we're all connected to everything and God is us and he's in us. And
wow. That's something that my priest used to say to us all the time.
Oh, how did I know that's exactly where he was going to go?
I knew it was going to happen. You're right. Why do I even go there?
Yeah.
I bring this beautiful thing up and he's got, oh, my father O'Brien touched me in the.
Yeah. God is in all of us. Yeah. How deep? Exactly. That's exactly what he's thinking.
Half a knuckle. Wait, what?
Listen, when the lightning hits his house. Yeah. I don't want to. So I don't know. It's just interesting. I don't know. Like I said, there's a healthy level of skepticism you're supposed to have. And again, just go to what Mrs. Sasquatch was saying in that documentary we watched the other night about the freezing of the bodies. I forgot what the name of the company was here in Arizona. Do you remember? I don't remember.
I don't remember now.
But I remember that. So they're basically cryogenically freezing people's brains and bodies. And it was like $200,000 to freeze your body, and like I think it was $80,000 to freeze your brain, in the hopes of one day science finding a way to bring you back and your consciousness back. Fucking creepy, by the way.
Yeah.
They went through demonstration on this thing, and what? Let me ask you though, if you were super rich, would you take the risk? Would you say, fuck it, I'm gonna drop down $200,000 and possibly come back in the future?
Alcor Life Extension Foundation.
That's it. Alcor. You're right. That's it.
No, I wouldn't. Me personally, I wouldn't.
No, when it's over, it's over. I don't.
Yeah.
I know people are fascinated with what the future holds. And, when I live my life, I'm good. Let me go to the other side and.
Look, I live in the present, and I'm scared of that. I don't want to know what comes in the future.
Yeah.
Well,
And
if it's your priest, it's going to be him.
Father O'Brien?
Sorry, Whiskey. What were you saying?
I'm not a fan of the idea of immortality. It's
weird.
I mean, Filipino boy.
Are you telling me if there was a fountain of immortality, you wouldn't drink?
No.
Like a fountain of youth kind of thing?
Yeah.
No, because one of Filipinos boys, Neil deGrasse Tyson, said it very eloquently.
I hate him so much.
Now, say what you want about him. I'm not a huge fan of him, but this is something that he said that really resonated with me. And it was mortality is what drives you, right? To do the things that you want to do, to tackle goals, to get married, to have children, to do all these things, to travel the world. If you were immortal.
Spartan Flash. Hey, Spartan Flash.
Sorry,
but I don't want to be immortal. Just want to live long enough to outlive a Twinkie.
Oh, damn,
I don't know,
that's
man.
a while, my friend. That's a while, my friend.
Yeah, Twinkies don't die. They don't disintegrate. They just live on because of that fake chemical shit. So I get it.
I heard it's true that they dissolve down into basically alcohol.
Thanks, Spartan. Appreciate you, buddy. I've formed a great community on Twitter lately for YouTubers, and thanks, Spartan Flash Century, for coming on in, man. Go follow him on YouTube as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say, does he have a channel? Let me get on that.
Yeah, they listen.
Get on you and that channel.
These people on YouTube are really trying. We try to support each other in this little community we have, and we've definitely boosted our channels and try to help each other as much as we can because a lot of enemies out there trying to fight us. And by enemies, I'm talking about liberals. So, yeah, thanks for showing up, man. Sorry, Whiskey, you were saying I was cut you off.
Yeah, I mean, I was reading his comment and I got sidetracked as well.
That's okay.
But yeah, basically being immortal is like, what's the point? The whole point of mortality is to get out there and get things done, to have your goals, to do things. I mean, people accomplish amazing things when you have a finite amount of time.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, cool. I can live for 10,000 years. I mean, great, whatever. You're going to watch people that you love die. Like how many wives are you going to have? How many kids are you going to have? You're going to outlive all your children.
So what about the theory of seeing what comes next, though? Like, we live in now, again, this generation, you're thinking, oh, God, why would you want to live past what we're living through right now? But what about people who want to see, like, does the seeing where the technology and how far that advances and where we're going to be in 100 years compared to where we know, is that enticing at all? Do you think about that? Like, it'll be kind of interesting. Or are you like, you know what? I live my 70, 80 years, whatever. I'm done.
I live my life a quarter mile at a time.
Yeah, he's right. The Highlander paradox.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Thanks.
Hey, we have a Highlander now.
No, he's not talking about that Highlander. He's talking about the movie.
There's a movie called Highlander?
And a show.
And a show.
The show wasn't that good, though. The movie was really good.
The movie was
Is it about getting really good gas mileage?
The first one was okay. Yeah. Anyway.
No, so Cannoli, as far as like the future, I don't give, like me personally, I don't give a crap. If I had a time machine right now, if I had a freaking DeLorean with a flux capacitor, I wouldn't go to the future. I would go to the past. Because there's things in the past that I have tons of questions about that I don't have the answers to. The future, I know nothing about the future, and ignorance is bliss as far as that goes. Because we could go into the future and it's nuclear fallout.
You're screwed.
Or, a comet freaking hits us and kills us all. But as far as the past, like, I would like to know how the pyramids were built. I would like to know if the moon landing is fake, which it is.
It is.
That's another channel. That's another show coming up. Conspiracies Part 2 soon.
Yeah. So, like, for me, I mean, sure, there's this enticing for some people. I could understand why it would be enticing to want to, like, know what the future's like and all that. But personally, I don't like where our world is right now.
Things are heading, yeah.
And I don't like the direction it's heading. So
Whiskey Bear, I have this lingering dread that consciousness will be discovered to be a frequency one day. We all get brought back. You know what?
Oh,
So
yeah.
Matrix theory.
Yep.
It's the Matrix theory, right? Like,
Have you heard that one when the Acceleron thing happened in like 2013 or whatever?
Yeah,
The old Hadron Collider.
Yes.
You know what? There's a lot of people who do believe in that theory. Insert 25 cents to continue. What if you don't have you don't have the tokens? You're screwed, man. There's a lot of people who do believe that too. That where it's just a computer simulation. That's why
That's why I have a 40-inch vertical.
Exactly in your mind. The whole Matrix theory, like where things feel out of place and reality doesn't actually feel like reality. Things just seem off. That we are in a computer simulation. I mean, would that surprise me? No. If I were to die someday or get pulled out of that, and they're like, oh, yeah, we don't need you anymore. Your battery's dead. Next person, please. And they pull the cord out of your back of your head. That would not surprise me either.
I mean, if it's true, I don't want to know. Like,
that's a good point, too.
Let me be Cypher and just eat my steak and drink my wine. Because, like, I don't want to know.
You don't want to live in that reality, yeah.
Yeah.
What if you're the one, though?
I mean
you could be dodge bullets and
yeah, or you could be some weirdo living in an underground cave, like having an orgy rave.
Wait! Is that an option? Is that
it is?
That,
yeah.
Orgy option is on the yeah.
Do we get to pick the people? Like, do I go Ariel Winters, Kat Denning, Emma Stone, end of the list?
Yeah. What is he saying here? I try to take a full approach and imagines any fire collider to prevent some reality-ending event. I'm going to put this on the screen because I'm trying to figure out what the hell he's on. Reality-ending event. Back still hurts and Newports taste different, though.
See? That's proof.
Spartan's getting deep here. I like his theory, though. And, again, sure, take the half-glass full approach. I think that's what Whiskey Banger's trying to say, too, is that, yeah, I'd rather have that than the other possibility.
I'd rather go in the future.
I mean, yeah.
There's one thing, like going in the past is cool, but I like the mystery of it. Oh my God, dog, calm down. Dog over here.
Meatball, you ain't going anywhere.
But did we land on the moon? No. But there's still a part of me thinks that there might be. And I don't want to lose that part of me that that little bit, mystery, right? That mystery, that little tingling in the back of your neck where you're like, I'm not 100% on it. Now, going to the future, I think it'd be so cool because you just fish out of water, you know nothing, right? And so it's just a consummate learn and react. I think it would be cool.
Yeah, but I mean, history has proven that hoverboards don't exist. So
that you know of.
Obviously the future
that you know of
is going to be trash.
In this line, the hoverboard don't exist yet.
Bro, you'd have to go how far in the future are you talking?
I'm talking 2,000 years.
Well, how far was Back to the Future 2?
That was 2015.
Yeah,
when they had hoverboards.
Wait, what is
I'm talking 200. I'm talking 2,000 years from now.
I also have a theory that we live in the boring universe where things get bad, but not like monsters and alien invasion bad. That's why that's why there used to be good stuff on TV. I love this guy. There's alt realities where those exist, but the movies suck. So where everything's good, but the movies are shit, and we can live where we are now. I see what you're saying.
I'd rather live in the cool area, the cool life, and then watching movies like Battleship. I don't know, just shit movies.
Okay, so you want to watch shitty action movies, basically.
I'm just saying, I would rather live in the exciting world and have shitty movies than live in the boring world and have amazing movies.
People too busy trying not to get eaten and probed. Yeah.
I was trying to get probed, but the priest wouldn't pick me. So.
Oh, God, again with the fucking priest, man. Why?
I wanted to be special.
Oh, you're special. You are special. There's no doubt about that. Where were we again? God, I swear to God, it's been such a long day. Listen, your dog makes more sense than you do. I bet your dog has a 40-inch vertical.
This dog can barely walk upstairs without falling down.
I think next week, Filipino Meatball will be playing with Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck.
First time ever.
Yeah. By the way, when you walk into the theme park, they don't say boys and girls anymore. They say everybody's welcome because they want to have inclusion. Yeah.
Wow.
You won't dress in drag and go, oh, hey, slay queen.
Wow.
Yeah, I want to report on how woke Disney is when you go.
Wow.
Like,
I will do that.
But
We'll report back.
Yeah,
I might send you small videos so that you can play them on the show.
I might send you a link. And then you just pop in if you can, if you have good reception, just to show us Disneyland.
Fair.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
It's gonna be. It's from my understanding, first time going, but it's gonna be Halloween Disneyland.
Yeah, I've been there during Halloween time. It was interesting. It was fun. That was before Disney went all fucking full on batshit crazy.
Is that me gonna be like? Do you think they're gonna try to scare me, and I'm gonna have to get thrown out of the park for fist fighting a skull wearing Mickey?
I'll tell you something. You knock Goofy on his ass, I'll applaud you on live on TV. If you do it on the stream, I'll fucking pay you.
All of a sudden, why is Tim on top of this building? Oh my God, is he throwing a flying elbow and it's someone on the ground?
Filipino Meatball in the search for frozen Walt. Oh my God. Oh God, please
go headed somewhere.
Yeah, he's cryogenically frozen, right? So his head. If you could find Walt Disney's frozen head and bring it back and put it on the show, people won't believe us. But better yet, why don't you bring Emma Stone to Florida to Disneyland with you?
It'll be Weekend at Bernie style. She won't feel a thing.
That's a lot of chloroform.
It's a lot of chloroform. It's a lot.
You act like I won't make that investment.
You know what? I believe you.
I just heard you can keep them warm with hair dryers, so I need to buy a few hair dryers.
Why?
I hope she watches this.
She is.
I hope somebody writes. I'm gonna tag her. Be like, listen, remember this guy you went to school with?
I didn't go to school with her. Our ships passed in the night.
No, your ship
reach out and grab it.
Your ship passed and kept
should have grabbed it.
Going. Yeah, you didn't. Yeah, you didn't have the balls to.
She was mine. She should have.
See if Tim wanted. See, the thing is, his theory is if he went into the future, he would have known who she was, right? And then he would have came back and then courted her. So there you go. That's why he wants to be. That's why he.
Why were you're using courted in the wrong terms? Kidnapping is the correct term.
Listen, you're gonna be a star someday. I'll get you to Hollywood. Just relax. I'm not gonna pull a Dahmer on you. We'll keep you alive.
Who's the Hollywood producer that all the people slept with?
Oh, Weinstein.
Weinstein. I'm gonna Weinstein her.
Jesus Christ. That's scary. That guy's a monster.
Bro, that guy. There's a special place in hell for him.
There you go. That's a life review right there.
There you go.
That's some life review.
All of a sudden he walks in and then Jerry Springer's like, have a seat.
Have a seat. Yeah, have a seat here, Mr. Weinstein. So what were we thinking when we took our pants down here?
To catch a predator, freaking Harvey Weinstein.
Tell me, what are you doing here, Harvey?
Let's review these text messages from the chat.
So what you were? Dude, those shows are fucking creepy, man. Some really scary people. No, now he has to do all the auditions with himself. So he's got to basically force sexual things onto himself. Oof, that's hell right there. That's a hell.
I'd rather my hell stuck in my own head than that one. Now that one seems worse. That one seems worse.
Jesus. So I think next week what we're gonna do is, since in the Halloween theme, we're gonna have Mrs. Cannoli Sasquatch back on to fill the place of Meatball. We're gonna do a true crime kind of thing. Serial killers, Halloween murders. We're sticking with this theme because it's Halloween time.
It's spoopy.
It's spoopy? Did you say spoopy?
Yeah. Spoopy.
Is that like a spooky Snoopy?
Is that a
no? It's like it's It's like spooky and it makes you poop your pants.
I was gonna say, is it a ghost? Is it a ghost that shits itself? Kind of thing? Is that the scenario? Jesus,
Y'all need Jesus.
Yeah, well, your priest can help you with that.
Exactly.
He tried.
That's gonna be your hell. Father,
he said it was a special communion.
Your hell is going to be Father O'Brien denying you for infinity.
Yeah. You can't touch the hole, Timmy.
And an unrelated question: is there chloroform in hell? Just
I mean, it's hell, so
No.
sure. Anything.
You're going to be conscious the entire time.
No, it's not me that the chloroform's for.
It'll be like,
come here, Father O'Brien.
Oh my God. The candy scare. Wait. What is it? The candy scares of the 1980s. Yes, like the time my parents found an entire combine harvester in a bag of skin.
Oh, that's
Like, now this guy's smart. You're bringing the fire tonight, man. Oh my God. Oh, thanks for joining, by the way. I want to thank everybody who came into the show. Of course, our friends Diana, Greg, Mr. and Mrs. The parents of this Cannoli Sasquatch. Thank you for showing up. Of course, Frankie. You know, he's probably it's midnight back east, so he's passed out. JT Gunn, awesome guy on YouTube, very funny. Whiskey Banger, you would love his channel.
Hi, Jules.
Hi, Jules. Oh yeah, there you go. Follow JT Gunn, follow Spartan Flash Century. Awesome dudes, man. Great community we have at YouTube. We're trying to build
Also,
this channel.
Abomination AJ.
Abomination.
I was listening to his shows this week at work.
Yeah, I like Abomination.
Great A.
Abomination AJ is a good dude. We're going to collaborate soon on something. I'd like to collaborate with all these people. It's just a matter of finding time. But I will see. I put out a thing today. I will be back working from home at the end of the month. So I'll have a better computer. I'll have a better setup. I can actually have more people on the stream. So I'm already putting feelers out for possible future shows on my stream. And listen, if people want to come into this and talk about a specific subject, listen, I know we talk about a lot of serious subjects. That's what podcasts sometimes do. Yes, we will talk about funny, goofy, stupid shit too, eventually. We're sticking in the theme of the paranormal and Filipino meatballs vertical. So
that's 40 for you guys out there.
There's a better chance of an afterlife than his vertical.
Do you know there's a story behind that?
Your vertical?
Yeah.
Oh God! Oh wait,
40-inch vertical.
Before you get into that, do we have an ice Nazi story? I
don't, because I did not go into the. Well, I went to the office, but I didn't go to lunch because of some interview stuff.
You know, you just made Greg cry, right?
I'm sorry, Greg.
All right, he'll be all right. He's crying enough already after that game tonight. Let's see. So yeah, we'll be back next week here on the podcast, 7:05 p.m. Is everybody good with the time again? Whiskey, you good with the same time?
Always.
I know I'll be. Is it next weekend? Is it next weekend that there's an event going on, isn't there? For you next week?
For who?
You.
Me.
Doesn't Miss Sasquatch have to meet with your wife and do some shit in your house? Or was that the week after? I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Are you guys fucking swingers now? What the shit?
You know what I'm talking about, right? The thing.
Yeah, not this weekend, but next weekend.
It's the weekend after. Yeah, that's what I meant. Next weekend.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll see you.
I didn't know you were talking to me. I thought you were talking to Filipino.
Yeah. So it's okay. So we'll be back on the podcast.
I'm in California next week.
He'll be in California. He might chime in. We're gonna do a true crime. So Mrs. Sasquatch will be on the stream. She's an expert.
You know what? Can I come in just for doing my one true crime story? The one I'm super fascinated by and about.
You know what? This is your true crime right here. And that's a 40-inch vertical. Look at him. The biggest mistake he ever made. He knows it. He knows it. So we'll be back 7:05 p.m. Mountain Standard Time next Friday. I don't even know what day that is, but whatever. I think it's the 14th, 15th. I don't know. 14th. I will be back Monday doing my live streams. I'm going to do a quick review synopsis of the Mario Brothers trailer that came out, by the way.
We should do a synopsis of the sweep of the Mets.
Mets season will be over. Mets season will be over by that point. So I might not have to care. But we're going to do a Mario Brothers thing. There's a House of Dragons episode I'm going to review, but I might maybe not have a special guest on Monday night. We'll see. It might work out. Again, Meatball, Whiskey Banger, awesome. Love you guys. Thanks for coming on. We had a great show today. I think it was fun. We had some really fucked up segues off the subject matter, but that's what we do. because we have fun doing our jobs. By the
I think
way,
he's pointing to his name tag.
Just so you know,
I'm
for
pointing at you.
the future of the show, may or may not, sometime after the new year, Whiskey Bang, I could get with you on this about converting some space in your house for a studio.
Oh yeah,
we're gonna work on that. I know
it's under works.
Everybody's busy. Whiskey's got a busy. Your next few months of your life are going to be extremely busy, but I'm going to help you through it, buddy. A lot of whiskey. I'm here for you. Spartan Flash again. Thank you. This was fun. I appreciate that. I'm glad you were able to make it finally. We're here every Friday, 7:05 our time. I'll be back Monday at 6:30 p.m. Doing my own thing, and I think that's pretty much it. Anybody have any parting thoughts on this wonderful Friday? Thank you. That's really deep, guys.
Parting thoughts.
Parting thoughts. Any parting thoughts on this lovely day?
I got it. If you're a person that's quiet quitting, I will fucking choke you unconscious.
Yeah, that's a podcast for another day.
That is definitely a topic.
So we're gonna collaborate soon on getting. People just keep commenting on. Thanks, buddy. Thanks, Spartan. Thanks, Diana. Thanks, JT Gunn, Abomination AJ, all you people. Are lovely people. I'm going to let these guys go. It's been a long day. We're going to have a great weekend. I might do some clips, edit some stuff for this because there's a lot of good shit in this episode. And, I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. I will talk to you soon, and I will see you back Monday and then next Friday. Thank you.